This program is part of the Cosmic Potato Podcast Network. For more shows like this, visit our website at cosmicpotatonetwork.com.
Watching television, watching television. Watching television, watching television. I need all the image, I need all the sound. I know the info right into my mind.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Trial by Pilot. This is the show where we judge an entire series of television and the work of hundreds on one episode. I'm Bill Lynch.
I'm Elizabeth Lynch.
Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank
to
you.
The new podcast studio.
Thank you for having me.
I see you're enjoying the new podcast couch.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
am.
that's like a thing real podcasters have, right?
The couch?
Like a podcast couch.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our new studio is just our office /
Playroom.
that we had planned to turn into our podcast studio when we moved in 8 or 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And we finally got a couch. So now there's a place to sit.
We had the couch 3 months ago.
That's true.
Finally put it together.
We thought the couch was going to take hours to put together because we read reviews that said as much, and it took us 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was definitely under an hour. And that was even calling the company to be like... That included a call to the company to be like, we just got this couch, but we're only just putting it together and there's no arms. And they were like, did you unzip the bottom of the couch? And there they were.
Why were they zipped up in the bottom of the couch?
Because then it was able to all be sent in one box. Like it was like one slim box. That's why.
I guess.
We would have known if we hadn't left the instructions downstairs in a pile of stuff. Like the stuff that like covered the fabric that was like covering the couch.
Yeah.
It got like kind of lost in there. So we're like, they didn't even send instructions? We're just so stupid.
Well, that was less of an issue because the instructions are just online. So I even thought like,
Right.
maybe they were somewhere, but like I didn't care because we just Googled them.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sure everyone can tell just how much better the sound quality is in here now that we're not in our cavernous living room, dining room space.
Well, we hope so. We haven't listened yet, so maybe it makes no difference.
I hope you can tell the
whatsoever.
sound quality is much or less, better or worse than it used to be. And I'll edit out the other words that don't apply there.
Okay. Good idea.
Today we are talking about A Teacher on Hulu. This is a new drama series that's being released weekly. And I don't know, trigger warning, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
It's about a teacher grooming a young boy. And I'm not talking about picking the lice out of his hair.
Right. That's not what we're talking about.
What are your thoughts on the weekly release thing?
So, I think I was reading that they released the first 3, and then the rest are being released weekly.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why I have such an issue with it now, even though that's the way TV always was.
Yeah.
I just want it available to me whenever I want to watch it. So,
That's the thing. I guess they're doing it, and they did it with The Boys, too.
okay.
The series The Boys, the second season, they release weekly, and people were pissed.
Yeah.
It had like such a terrible score on like all the aggregate sites because people were just like rating it ones. Like,
because they released it weekly?
yes. I mean, people are petty bitches.
Yeah.
But like, it's a 10-episode season. People have been waiting like a year for it, over a
Right.
year. And then the first episode drops. Then you have to wait, 2.5 months before you can finish it. People just want to binge it.
Right.
I guess because I think Netflix has done this with a few series as well. I guess they're just doing it because they want like the conversation to last longer.
Yeah, maybe.
Which maybe it works in some cases, but I also think it could work against you where...
People lose interest, move on to something else.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, at least with season 1 of The Boys, everybody was talking about it when it first came out because it was so good and you like just binged it as like quick action.
Right.
And then this time, at least for me personally and a few other people that I saw online, were like, yeah, I like watched an episode or two, and then I was like, I'm just going to forget about this until it's done so I can binge it anyway. And then like 2 months later, you forget about it.
Right.
And then at least I like went back. I was like, oh, right, The Boys. But I don't necessarily think it has the positive effect that these places think it does.
It's just so interesting because there are still shows that do this, release weekly. It's just on a different platform. Maybe it's on network television or it's, on HBO.
Yeah.
And that's also just the way, up until a couple of years ago, the way all television was consumed. It was weekly and you waited for it.
Right.
And it's just really funny how quickly, like how much we need to have exactly what we want, exactly when we want it. And there are so many other distractions. So if you don't have it exactly when you want it, then you will find something else. And it's either good or it's garbage, but it doesn't matter because you get to have it exactly when you want it.
Yeah, I guess that's the other
Like,
that's the other big thing is like there's so much fucking content where if you forget about this show, something else is going to be on the next day and you could start watching that and you could binge that and the next day there's something new.
All of Dash and Lily in like 2 nights.
All right, so we'll get to a teacher in a second. How was Dash and Lily? Because we considered doing that pilot and we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Dash and Lily is a romantic comedy on Netflix.
Yeah, Christmas themed. It's like kind of like the series equivalent of a Christmas movie, like a cheesy Christmas movie. But I actually thought it was really cute. I really did like it.
Because you said, I'm glad we didn't do it for the podcast because the pilot was boring.
I just like I think sometimes when something's like quick and cute like that, the pilot isn't like super duper exciting to talk about. Like not always. I just felt like compared to some of the other pilots that you were floating out there for us to watch, I was like, maybe this one will be dumb. And also because we always watch a cheesy Christmas movie as an episode, it was kind of like, well, maybe we won't,
Yeah.
And I also was just like under the impression that you didn't want to do it, that you wanted to do something else.
Well, I didn't want to, but I would have.
It was a cute show, though. Definitely a cute series. I recommend it. I thought it gave me like fun feelings. I don't know. Cute Christmas feelings.
All right. Should we get into a teacher?
Sure.
Well, first, should we talk about our high school and all of the inappropriate relationships between teachers and students and all of the sex that they had?
Yeah, so it was certainly rumored. Let's say that. Listen, I don't really doubt that it was true. I'm just saying we should probably just say that it was like rumored because neither one of us really know.
Well, actually, I have something to reveal to you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but yeah, it was more than rumored. Like, it definitely happened with multiple teachers over the span of like a year or two. Like, what a crazy thing. And we went to a small high school with not that many teachers.
And it was like, it was mostly female teachers, male students.
It was all female teachers and male students, wasn't it?
Yes, but I think that there was maybe some like inappropriate stuff and relationships happening with male teachers and female students like immediately after graduation.
Okay. I mean, that's still a little bit different than having relationships with students.
Oh, it is, but like
You're
waiting. You know what I mean?
It's still creepy and inappropriate.
Yeah.
But you're not having sex with students that are like 16 in your biology class.
Right.
And I just picked that subject out of thin air. So
Right.
so nobody traced back. I know you're all flipping through your yearbooks right now.
Right.
Your SHS 2001 yearbooks. All right, let's talk about this show.
Okay.
Claire Wilson, played by Kate Mara, is a new English teacher at a high school. And she shows up on the first day, befriends the French teacher there. And, we see like a little introduction of her and this other new teacher, which was kind of funny. They introduced the other teacher as he's like eating his breakfast and he like has to wipe his face to like say hello. And then after school, we see her at the grocery store and she shoplifts a lipstick just a lipstick, pops it into her purse. Mm-hmm. And then she like really takes her time and enjoys putting it on in the car.
Yeah.
Right. And then that night, she's with her husband at home and they're talking. He's packing up for another work trip and he's like trying to connect with her because they're trying to have a baby. They're in their 30s. Mm-hmm. And she seems like a little bit disinterested, but then she's like, he says something like, you know, tell me something about your day. And so she reveals that like, oh, I stole a thing of lipstick today. And he wasn't like upset with her, but he was like, that's weird. Like, why would you do that?
Why?
Yeah. And so the next day is the first day of the students coming to school. And so she's teaching her AP English Lit class and she's reading Dylan Thomas. And the class includes Eric, the other lead here, played by Nick Robinson, who's been in some stuff that I haven't seen, but people like know of him.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen anything with him in it?
No, but I was looking him up and I think he was in like, maybe it's Dear Simon or something like that.
Yes.
And I think that's popular with like the younger crowd.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
I don't know. We didn't see it.
Sure. And so as she's reading it, you know, he is like seemingly like pretty into it. Like he's paying attention to what she's saying and he's like thinking about his day, like running through the halls, you know, screaming like seniors, seniors as she's reading like, do not go gently into that good night, rage against the dying of the light. I don't, it's like connecting with him, it seems like. So anyway, he is talking about a scholarship with his coach and the coach is like, well, you know, you have all these box checked. You need to get a 1250 on your SATs. And he's like, oh, well, I haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was the guidance counselor.
Oh, was he? I thought he called him coach when he walked in. I mean, he could be both.
Oh, maybe.
Coach,
maybe he's
coach
both.
somebody.
Okay.
Or I could just be completely wrong. Then they have a quick scene of like him and his friends at soccer practice after school, and Miss Wilson walks by, and like of course his friends are like, "Oh man, she's so hot. That's your teacher?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's, you know, whatever."
Yeah.
Like trying to play it off all cool. Kicking some soccer balls outside of the school.
Did you feel like in this first her like first day of school, like she was maybe aware of how attractive she would be to these young students? She wasn't dressed inappropriately.
No.
But she definitely was like showing off more cleavage than I would be comfortable in a high school classroom.
I don't know. I mean, if you're a 30-year-old attractive woman and you know you're attractive and you're a teacher, you probably know that 17-year-old boys are going to be like gawking at you.
Right.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, there was something like very like subtle about her. Like, I wondered if that was a choice.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I was like looking for that and I didn't think that for the first day. I thought it in another scene where she's wearing like a slightly low cut blouse where you can like just barely see the top of her cleavage. And I didn't even think that was inappropriate. But maybe it's just like the way I think now versus
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
the way a high school boy would think, you know? So that night, Eric and his friends are smoking weed behind this diner where Eric works. And they go inside to get like some milkshakes, and Claire is there. Since her husband's flight got canceled, he couldn't get home. So she just like went to the diner to have a snack.
Yeah.
And so the three of them go up and start talking to her. Eric didn't want to, but his one friend was like, oh man, I'm going to go say hi. But then his other two friends have to leave. So Eric and Miss Wilson are there alone and they're just chatting about stuff. She went to UT. He really wants to go to UT. They're in Austin, right?
Yes.
And the SATs come up and, you know, he's talking about how he has to do well in them. And he's like, maybe you could tutor me since you're the English teacher. And, you know, it was like, I hesitate to even say flirty.
Yeah.
You could view it with that lens, I guess.
Right.
But there was nothing you could like really pinpoint and be like, whoa, that was too much.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
But it was like this awkward student-teacher interaction. And she gives him a ride home. And that night, while she's in bed, she gets a friend request from him on Facebook. And she's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And like doesn't accept it. But then that night, she has a sex dream about him.
Right.
And then her husband wakes her up. He just flew in. It's the middle of the night. And she like wants to do it right now. She's like, I'm ovulating. Get behind me. And I was waiting for like another like hallucination of like Eric behind her. I thought that's why she did it that way.
Well, I think she did. They just didn't show it.
They didn't show it. Yeah,
Yeah.
You could like kind of see it in her face. And so the next morning she says, I'm going to brunch with my teacher friend. But really she meets Eric at the diner so they can begin tutoring. So she can begin tutoring him.
Right.
And so they sit right next to each other at the counter, like shoulder to shoulder, like their arms are like really touching.
This is where she's wearing another low cut, like push-up bra and a low cut top.
Oh, this is I think the scene where I was thinking.
Scene, yeah. I'm like, now she's like being more intentional because she knows that like she's gotten his attention.
Yeah.
And she likes that attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure. And then that was the pilot to a teacher. It ends with her and Eric looking over some literature book to start studying. What did you think?
Well, I think it's hard to tell from this first episode because it all seemed, aside from the sex dream, pretty innocent.
Yeah.
You know, like it seemed like, all right, he's a kid. Sometimes they think their teachers are cute and they're a little shy, and but you know, like she seemed a little bit like, I mean, clearly bored in her marriage. You know, she steals the lipstick like for a thrill. Like she just seems a little bit lonely.
Right. That's like the stereotypical thing, like, oh, a bored housewife stealing. Not that she's a housewife.
Right.
Bored wife stealing lipstick is looking for something, you know?
Yeah. I was like a little bit uncomfortable with her because I just felt like, I think she did a good job of this. I felt like they played it and showed it so subtly, but of like her really enjoying this attention from her male students.
Yeah, I thought she was very good.
I did too.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought all of her like subtle facial expressions and just like tiny little like movements of her eyes and stuff told a lot.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated because I think there's not a lot of subtle television out there.
Right.
These days. Yeah, I mean, even obviously you have to divorce the fact that you know that what this show is about.
Well, yeah.
But like even a sex dream, like you can't help that. You know, you have some dream about somebody.
Right.
You're not controlling it necessarily.
Maybe for most people, if you have a sex dream about a student, you wake up somewhat ashamed. Instead of like then going in a low cut top to like meet him and sit very close to him while you tutor him. So
I'm surprised you're calling that a low cut top though. It wasn't that low cut.
No, you're right. It wasn't. I'm just saying I think it was intentional. It was...
Sure, but in 2020, do you think that is an inappropriate top to wear as a teacher?
You know, I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since I've been in a school. But I'm also just like, I feel like even at work, like in my normal work, that's not that low cut. That's not that low cut.
Right.
It wasn't like heaving bosom and like all the way down.
Not at all.
It wasn't, but it was suggestive. I'm just saying it was intentional.
Wow.
That I'm not saying
I'm glad there's
like,
at least one feminist on this podcast to defend her shirt.
I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with it. I just think it was intentional because she looked really good in it. It was attractive. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just thought that it was like somewhat like, oh, she could have chosen, it's a Saturday. She could have worn a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like it was somewhat intentional.
Sure, yeah.
She knew she looked good and she was going to see this student. It wasn't like porn star or anything like that. I just think she knew exactly how good she looked. That's all.
Yeah. So what did you think about the rest of the pilot other than her performance?
I liked it. I thought that I liked the boys, like when they're hanging out in Eric's kitchen, just have like this dumb teenage boys, the way they talk about girls and stuff like that.
But they even established Eric as the somewhat more mature one.
Right.
Like his one like
right away.
Meathead friend was like saying something dumb that a high school kid would say, and he was like, "Really, dude?"
Yeah.
Like some inappropriate comment. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I think that he definitely feels that he is like more mature and beyond this like high school thing. He's already thinking ahead, like going for like the scholarships, thinking ahead so that he can get out of there. Like he knows what he wants kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his friends are just, you know, dumb talking about girls. Like it was, I would say maybe kind of like slow moving. It was a little bit of a slow pilot.
Yeah. I agree. I couldn't really put my finger on what I thought about like the pacing of it. Because it was a little slow. Like clearly it was the pilot. They were just kind of like setting the stage.
Right.
These are only like 20 something minutes each episode.
Yeah, they're short.
20 something minutes to establish this dramatic series, which are usually an hour.
Yeah.
They were just kind of like really like broadly laying the groundwork, and like they finally got to them like going shoulder to shoulder. Like nothing really happened. Obviously there was plenty of foreshadowing.
Right.
So yeah, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about that. And I felt like, I don't know, I guess we kind of understand where he's coming from, like everything you just said. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure they will like dig into more of his character. But I wanted more of it in the pilot so I could see kind of both perspectives, his and hers. I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed to be mostly focused on her
But
for this.
well, in terms of like establishing character depth, yes.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of scene time, including a lot without her.
Right.
So I wanted like that same depth from him, which I don't know. Maybe I'm just being picky, but
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably come. It's just like they're choosing to focus on her first. I have read, I will say, I think because I don't think there was a ton that they gave us in the pilot, it did make me go and like immediately start to research it, which I don't often do with these shows, but I wanted to know what's it based on. You know, is this a real story?
yeah.
You know,
So what did you find out?
so it's not a true story. So the creator, Hannah Fidel, made a movie in 2012. Same title, same subject. And apparently some of the same exact storyline. Like there's some things that are like exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
So she's retelling this story this way. I did read some criticism that I guess people who have been able to see the whole thing feels like it's really like a handbook, like this is how you groom someone. That was like kind of some criticism that I read.
Like that people will look at this and be like, oh, I could do this to a young person.
I think it was like, I don't know if they necessarily said that. Like nothing I read said that, but I think it depicted it very accurately and how subtle grooming happens.
Yeah.
And one of the things I read, it says, grooming, this is a quote from a sex counselor. Grooming is the slow, methodical, and intentional process of manipulating a person to a point where they can be victimized. And I think like they wanted the audience to go along with Eric. Mm-hmm. And I think that part of like the second half of the season portrays kind of like the lasting effects that this has on like males specifically
Okay.
of this kind of abuse. But I think some of the other criticism I had read was just that like people are uncomfortable with how much you identify with Claire, Claire, is that her name? Mm-hmm. Yeah. With Claire, and she's the abuser. So people are relating with some of that. And so I think there's some like maybe some blurred lines there, but their intention really is to show this like pattern of abuse.
Yeah.
And not like romanticizing it or glorifying it any way. But I think maybe it's supposedly done so well that you kind of like those lines are blurred a little bit there. I don't know. We'll have to see. Like, I don't really know. This is just some criticism.
I mean, ignoring the subject matter, which I know you can't really do, but that sounds like it means it's a good show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that, like, you have to be careful with this thing because I think especially with guys in the position of, like, being the student, that's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
In an old world, that's just like a a fantasy, like to
Yeah, of course.
sleep with your teacher. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess you have to be careful. And I think what they're doing here is not making it like a hot for teacher,
Right.
you know, depiction. It's like, no, this is like she is abusing him,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? And
Did you read anything about what the lasting effects were?
no,
No. Okay.
I didn't. Did you?
No.
Yeah.
Just curious.
I didn't get too much into it because I think I would like to watch it.
Okay.
But one of the other things is because this is being released week to week, I think it's like it will all be out at the end of December. So I may wait
Okay.
and then just binge it then. But yeah, it seems like I think maybe like the first couple episodes is like establishing their relationship, like the first half. And then like the second half is about his like lasting effects on him. As far as I have read so far.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Because you don't hear about that side of it too much.
I don't think I
Because
ever
I think
have.
I think in the news there's even like a teacher-student relationship and they ended up getting married. I think they still are married.
Oh, really?
Like
Yeah.
one of the first, I can't remember their names, but it was like I remember one of the first stories like that I remember hearing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked in with them in a while, so I don't know how they're doing.
So you think you're gonna watch this?
Yeah, I think so. What about you? Do you have any interest?
I think I was leaning towards no, kind of on the fence. If you're going to watch it, then maybe I will too, just because it's short episodes.
Yeah.
It's a 10 episode series and they're all like less than half an hour,
Right.
which seems pretty manageable.
Yeah.
The topic isn't like something I would immediately reach for,
Right.
but I like to watch things that I don't know much about just to see, you know, what really happens and the effects it has. Like, what was that show? Unbelievable.
Right. Right.
You know, sad stuff.
That's our favorite.
You know, we like sad stuff.
Really sad stuff that's hard to watch.
So yeah, I guess I might give it a shot. Would you recommend it?
I think I would recommend it. I think that if I hadn't gone and read anything else about it, I would say maybe the pilot is slightly forgettable. And like maybe if I just was like, okay, we watched this pilot, talked about it, now I'm not that interested. But I think having read more about it, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
Because it seems like something we should know about.
Maybe that's why I was
know?
on the fence, because the pilot, it was fine. And like I said, I thought she was really good. Mm-hmm. I thought her performance was great. Other than that, did it blow my mind? Am I going to be thinking about it for a while?
Right.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll see. Next time we're sitting around trying to think of a show to watch that
It's super depressing and
is super depressing.
yeah.
All right. Anything else to say about a teacher?
Well, it has been a while since we did We're Just a Couple of Dopes
We're just a couple of dopes,
who watch TV, but there are important things going on in the world.
but there's also important stuff happening. in the
Also
world.
important stuff happening
Listen,
in the world.
you would remember the segment name if you remember the hashtag, which is hashtag WJCDWWTVBTAISHW. So go on to Instagram.
You're right.
Check out our old segments if you're looking for a place to donate this holiday season.
So I figured because the show's even has what's her name, Kate Mara, doing a PSA for them. I figured it might be a good time to highlight RAINN, which is RAINN, Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. And it's the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization, and they operate the National Sexual Assault Hotline. So if you go to RAINN, RAINN.org, you can donate there. And if you need a number to get help 24/7, you can call 1-800-656-HOPE. And check it out. Donate.
And they did do a good job of highlighting that during the
Yeah.
pilot also.
Yeah. I think they start and end every episode with a trigger warning and
Oh, they do?
resource. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Doing it the right way.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. If you have suggestions on shows for us to watch, you can email us at tryypilot@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at tryypilot. And please go on to Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, subscribe to the show, leave a review, and tell a friend.
And thank you to the Beats for providing our theme music. I was about to say prescribing. Stop.
Elizabeth, you're not looking so hot. Let me write you a prescription for rock.
Watching television, watching television.
Thanks, Beats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Watching television, watching television. Watching television, watching